Welcome to Dying to Know, where we open up about everything that comes with losing a loved one.
Because the only thing that's worse than death is not being able to talk about it.
We're your bereavement babes, Leah and Rachel, and today we're talking psychology of death. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Leah.
How you feeling?
Good. I'm excited that we're about to share a fun little IG Instagram
Yeah.
DM, because we read all of our DMs.
We read all of our DMs, text messages. I think one of my mom's friends even hand wrote us a card that I still haven't shared with the rest of us.
Leah.
I know. I told you about it, but I never sent a picture. But I'm like,
we truly read everything and share it with our whole Dying to Know group.
Exactly.
I was like, not with everyone.
Yeah, not with everyone, but just between the people who bring this show to life. And the message says, I just wanted to tell you and Leah, congrats on the new podcast. Celebration emoji, red heart emoji. I absolutely love the concept and what you guys are doing. You both have so much to offer the world with your own experiences. I can't wait to see where this journey takes you. And we love receiving messages like that. So thank you guys for supporting and listening, watching, and liking. It really goes a long way. We're really trying to build a community here, which I did not think we would be doing with this.
I know. No, each surprise is just as shocking as the next one, or each text is just as surprising as the next one. And I feel like it also helps us keep going, because sometimes we're like, this is sad, and like, do people want to listen to sad things? So hearing it helps bring other people's support, just makes it all worth it.
Yes. Also, it's like, it is our second job. So sometimes we're like, do people want to hear this? Is this too sappy? So we kind of go through that little flow, but it's really nice to hear those kind words and encouraging words.
Yeah,
so thank you. Yes. So just to dive into like the definition of what we'll be talking about today, it's just more so like being aware of our own mortality and experiences that make us understand the depth of death. And how we handle just the inevitable. As I always say, none of us are getting out alive. So just kind of like our psyche behind knowing that. I know people say like you're born to die. Isn't that like a saying? I don't really believe that, because there's a whole life in between it. But you know, like, but you know, if you're born,
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's coming,
basically. So what are your thoughts on just the psyche of it? Like in your mind, do you think about it? This came up in our questions game. Like, do you think of your own mortality and how often?
Yes. Yeah. I have a go-to of like how I would prefer to die, which is
what is that?
I learned in like the third grade or something like that.
Great.
I don't know. I can't remember. Like, it was obviously like grade school or very younger, but like being like freezing to death apparently is supposed to be very peaceful.
And you're always hot, so that seems right. That
where like I think it wasn't like we were learning about ways to die, but I think they're like in Alaska or like somewhere that they have to be very aware of like older people, because sometimes you can literally just sit and like if you like sit, fall asleep, and just like slowly freeze. I don't know if it's like, I don't want to like
I feel like your
say
body
big words, because I'm probably gonna be wrong. Yeah, your body's
like slowly,
but you don't feel it as painfully as like drowning or burning or fire. So I feel like if I had to go,
you would want to freeze to death.
Yeah.
Wow.
But not anytime.
I mean, I don't want you to freeze to death.
So I feel like if I thought about death before my father's passing, it was almost in that way where I'm like, what would be maybe the less painful way?
Okay. So you're more about like pain tolerance.
Yes.
Okay.
What about you? Have you, I guess prior to your dad's, how did you feel about it?
I've always been the same way. Let me go in my sleep.
Yeah.
I think I watch a lot or listen to a lot of like murder mysteries. I'm not murder mysteries, but like anything about like true crime and stuff. And I just put myself in the shoes of some of those victims, like, dang, they knew it was coming, or they saw it, and like, God forbid, like sexual assault, like it can get bad. Like I don't want to be murdered, so I just want to like just go to sleep, and then like maybe my dream, and then I'm like, is this a dream or is that really God? And then I'm just there. Yeah.
Do you feel now that your dad has passed, though, do you feel differently about wanting to be in your own house, like where your family is? Because it's just like the idea of like being like, I don't know if I would have wanted my dad in the house, like, or like, yeah. Do you feel differently about it? Because both of us lost our dads in a hospital. Would you have preferred him in the house? Do you think you would want your family, like, and knowing that they're still gonna live there?
Yeah, I think that would be creepy. be, because you know, like when people die in the house, you're like, I don't want to stay here. It's haunted.
Yeah.
So I feel like, will I haunt the house if I die there? And then also, I know there's a little bit more now that we've experienced death with a parent and like the business of death.
Yeah.
That I feel like I would want to make it easier for my loved ones.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm not like sick. What if I just like go to bed and die?
Well, yeah. So I guess
I guess
so
a
many...
hospital, because it's no like they don't have to call anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe that like to be easier on them, but maybe people don't find that to be easy. Maybe they welcome being in their own space. I hear a lot of people say like, don't put me in no hospital. I don't want to be there. I want to be home. And I get that. So
I get the comfort of wanting to be, but then it's also like, I feel like now experiencing my father's like passing and knowing that like none of my siblings, like it's our home. Yeah. It's not like we could have had the easy option of just leaving the home if it did feel uncomfortable. I feel like I definitely toss with that thought. But as you said, knowing like what your loved ones go through after death, like do you think about how you need to start preparing yourself for it? Because we love to tell everyone you need to start preparing now. True. Do you feel like you've taken bigger thoughts on like how to prepare?
No. And that's sad because I'm not practicing what we're preaching. So that's really bad. Maybe like smaller precautions, like life insurance policies. I have one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
And I also have like assigned beneficiaries. Yeah. But I haven't gone as like micro as like this person gets this, or like this is what I would like my service to go, like, or what I want to service, or these are the images I want you to use. Yeah. I think me and you were even having a conversation where like you were like, oh, I want Twinkle to have my phone. I'm like, I never even thought who would get my cell phone.
I don't know how that's like not the biggest thought.
Because I'm going to die when I'm old. So I know.
Maybe because like I keep way too much on my phone. I even messaged Twinkle. I'm like, is this like, you have to grab my phone and like grab it and get rid of it. And she's like, yeah, duh. Like, so really? Yeah.
I think I'm more prepared for, which we will talk about in a later episode. Like I heard on another podcast that someone had a if I disappear folder.
Yes.
And I think that's smart, like your passwords to bank accounts, because it really seems like when something happens to people, police aren't as like proactive.
Yeah, where they have like a piece of hair and like their fingerprints and all that.
Or even just kind of like, if I just been like, I haven't heard from Rachel in days, a lot of times like, well, she's an adult, so she can like, if she wanted to go off the grid, she could. But then I'm like, well, I personally know her, so why would she just like abandon something or not show up somewhere? So it helps to like be proactive to like kind of start that like investigation.
Yeah. If that makes sense. No, that makes sense. And I think after my dad's passing, it was definitely like a time where it wasn't necessarily my death, but it was like a conversation to have with my mom. Like, hey, like, what do you want? Because my dad was so abrupt that I was like, can we like talk about it? And again, it might have been too soon to have the conversation where she wasn't like fully ready to like explain everything she wanted. But she also said like, we got her plot now already. And like, I know she wants to be buried next to my dad. And I know like she does like want Jewish like symbols on her coffin and like all of that. So I feel like it also kickstarted like how I'm talking like with my loved ones on a more personal level about like what they expect after they pass.
Yeah. Do you feel like that approach or the conversation with your mom about her own mortality, was it easier after you experienced what happened? Do you feel like she was more receptive, or was it still like an awkward conversation?
It was maybe awkward in the sense that I was like, what do you want? Like, it was just like almost like a late night. We were on the couch and I was just like, it was a feeling of being overwhelmed after going through my dad's. And I was just kind of like, do you know what like you're going to want? I think we really should talk about it. So if anything, it was awkward, but I also wanted to kickstart like her thinking about it.
Yeah. I think that's important. I kind of still haven't had the conversation with my mom.
I mean, I don't know if I should have even asked my mom like a couple weeks after he passed, because I'm sure that's the last thing she wanted to think about. Course. But I think being so close to the financials of the funeral and all of that, I was just like, this is a conversation you need to have in your household, is like figuring out what death is going to look like in all different ways, facets. Is that the right word?
No, I think that's a very important thing to like have the conversation. And I know it's difficult because even myself, like it's been small conversations or moments where like we may have asked like that. Like I know that my mom wants to be buried next to my dad, but I don't know if we have the plot or if they asked originally when we got his. Yeah. And then my mom makes comments like, you know, if I do want to be home and like keep plenty of sunlight and like I want all visitors, like don't turn anyone away type of thing. And I remember like she's made a comment like she wants her outfit or her shoes to be so bad in her casket that people are tempted to take them off her feet and try them on. But like that's a joke because who's doing that at a funeral? And I'm sure I would be pretty upset. But it's been little like tidbits of that nature. But even with me thinking of mortality, like a then versus now perspective, I feel like in the 90s, we went to a lot of funerals growing up. Because I always hear how people like for the holidays, they'll be like, oh, do you have a big family? And I always go like, I don't think we're that big because it feels like a lot of aunts and uncles and like the older generation died a lot. And like, I feel like my first funeral was in 95 when I was in kindergarten, which was my mom's father. And they probably didn't stop until maybe 2000 something. So like great aunts and my mom's like aunts and uncles. And then obviously my grandfather. My maternal grandmother died before I was even thought of. My dad's mom, like it just, everyone was kind of just like dropping. And I think my parents did a really good job of like explaining what that was to me and Ben since we were the youngest. And I remember my grandfather's funeral, like I remember sitting in the back and just kind of looking around like everyone's crying like, okay.
Yeah.
Like this is, And my mom would just be like, we're not going to see him again. And like try to explain what that was to me because it was, abstract to like think about. But we grew up in church. So I guess me and Ben understood the concept of like God and better place. So
were you sitting as a kid thinking like, okay, like they're up in heaven. So they're doing better now. Like was that also a thing? Having it being so close in church too?
I think I was in the acceptance stage as a child, just kind of like, you're telling me this is happening and I just have to listen because you're an adult and you know better.
Yeah.
So I don't remember having like a deep thought about it, but I think now is realizing, I think what we touched on last episode was just like being more present, experiencing like death has been a sobering experience for us. And just being, a little bit more grounded in life and paying closer attention and just knowing that like, this is a roller coaster. It's going to ebb and flow. I'm going to feel like I'm going forward some days and other days will feel like it's going back. It's a little bit more deeper because I'm older and have a better sense of understanding of what it's like. What about you?
Well, I was going to actually ask you after after your father's death, did you ever, because now you're saying like how you are so going forward with life and keep it going. Did you ever have your moment where it was just like, not like, or just an over life, not in like a suicidal way or anything, but just like almost in that depressed state where it's just like, if this is gonna happen, like why go all out? Like everything's gonna end anyway. Like, did you ever have your world is ending moments?
I'm sure. I can't think of like an exact time or like event that took place, but I am sure that just kind of like I feel like.
Like, I need to reframe my mindset. Because I definitely, and again, not in, like, a suicidal way at all, but I definitely had, like, I would realize, like, I wasn't probably enjoying things as much. And I feel like I had to reframe my mindset a little bit because I'm just, like, everything's so sad. Like, everyone's gone. Everyone's going to go. Everything's going to be sad, especially because I don't feel like I had too much death as a kid. Okay. Where like now, as I have more friends, like, and we're all getting older, I feel like I hear more and more that someone's passing. Yeah. And I'm just like, damn, like everything is so damn sad. So I feel like I had to like kickstart myself a little bit to be like, no, like it might be a short time, but like let's live it out as much as possible. Oh, which. Good. I listened to a podcast with Nicole Avant, I think I'm saying it correctly, who is an author and an activist and just wrote a book about grief. And her mom's advice to her, which actually I thought was just so beautiful, is her mom loved going to the theater and like watching TV shows and watching movies. And she's like, life is a movie. She's like, you kind of already know what the ending is from a trailer, but she's like, you don't go to the movies just to see the ending. No. You go to the movies to see the climax, to see the pivots, to see but what if this happens, and enjoy like all the moments, no matter how tragic the ending might still be. Like you're still going to the movie theater to see the whole movie in its entirety. Yes. And I thought that was just such a beautiful way to kind of like re-look at life. Like, okay, we're going to be sad as fuck one day, but you can still enjoy the beautiful parts of it. Yeah. Like it's going to be sad. It's going to be happy. There'll be challenges. There'll be like great times and bad times and good times and
good food, bad food, like everything.
Like
has
even
an
knowing that it's
extreme.
all gonna end kind of bad, you still should be enjoying all the middle parts.
Yeah, because I mean, I haven't been on a deathbed, and then obviously we can't ask anyone who's been on one. Well, I mean, some people survive it, but I'm not to go backwards. But like when you are in those states where people are like, "Oh, I saw my life flash in front of me," and things of that nature, it's like you're not really like focusing on like that test that you didn't get or like promotion or whatever. You're probably consuming your mind with like, I had a great life and I had some great loves and I had great people and I saw things and I did things that I've always wanted to do. So I think that just helps to put things into perspective.
Yeah, and I also think a little bit that we touched on last episode is like, I'm also now carrying like my dad or the people I've lost ones with me. And I know they want to see me happy and they want to see us like just thriving in life. So I also feel like it's a little bit of a remembrance or a throw to them like, okay, I'm not going to waste what like I still have.
Yeah, that's so true. Today's episode is dedicated to Clarence and Jacqueline Avant. Again, we're your bereavement babes, Leah and Rachel, and we'll see you on the other side.